The Cleveland Browns' new defensive line will make its debut Sunday in Week 1 in the home opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns' defensive line has always played well against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and now that the talent has been overhauled by a ton, it should be even sweeter this Sunday. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, now officially into year 7 of Cleveland Browns coverage here with you, Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd on YouTube, geez, keep getting bigger and bigger. So make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube page. Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We continue on here. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. As we said, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals coming to town Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Browns opener, nationally televised game through CBS, so everybody should be ready to go for that. The Browns, you look at this defensive line, and the Browns' second leading sacker last year was Taven Bryant with 3. Their third leading sacker, a couple of players had 2. Jordan Elliott, one of them. J.D. Clowney was one of them with 2. Browns players that they brought in, of course, Za'Darius Smith comes in, had 10 sacks last season. Ogbo Okoronkwo had 5 sacks last season. Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, both had 2.5 sacks last season, which means both of those players would have finished 3rd, respectively, on the team last year. Ogbo Okoronkwo would have finished 2nd, as would Za'Darius Smith. So there is a lot of firepower brought into this defensive line room. And we all know the success the Browns have had against Cleveland in the past. Myles Garrett, in the 5 games where Joe Burrow was quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, he has 9 sacks and 30 pressures. So essentially averaging 2 sacks per game against Joe Burrow and 30 pressures. Joe Burrow has never beat the Cleveland Browns when he has been sacked more than 1 time. So that looks to be something that could bode very well for your Browns on Sunday. The Browns defensive line, obviously the overhaul is there. I hear a lot about, the Bengals and their acquisition of Orlando Brown Jr. And Orlando Brown Jr. is a very, very good left tackle. He has not fared well in his career against Myles Garrett, not to say that many have, but I keep hearing about this improvement of the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. But the Browns brought in all of these guys. Every one of them. So to say that all of a sudden now, there's an evening of the playing field, it just sounds absolutely preposterous to me. Yes, 1 player came into the Cincinnati offensive line room, but look at all the players that went into the defensive line room for your Cleveland Browns, and plus the success that this team has had with inferior players playing against Joe Burrow and the Bengals in years past. Look, Joe Burrow is coming off this calf injury, and all signs, obviously everything are trending towards him being able to go on Sunday, which we all anticipated when we first heard the news of the injury. The fact that he missed time, yes, it's an issue. It certainly is missed practice time. He wasn't going to play in preseason games anyway. It's the way Cincinnati Bengals do business, and they haven't played their starters the last 2 years in the preseason. So there's no reason to believe that you have to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This team went to an AFC Championship, went to the Super Bowl. This team went to an AFC Championship game and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, who eventually won the Super Bowl. So the fact that they are going to go this route doesn't bother me, doesn't concern me. But to say that, Joe Burrow just coming back from this injury and coming back, there's certainly some, worry here. You know what I'm saying? He's, not going to say he's going to be running for his life, but there's going to be a lot of constant pressure. And there's only so much you can simulate in practice. I guarantee you, ain't nobody in a Cincinnati Bengals practice coming anywhere near Joe Burrow because they'd be thrown out of the facility. They'd probably be waived. They'd probably be released if they were doing things of that nature. So for the Browns, the plan should be simple, and this should, applies whether or not Denzel Ward plays or not. And there are no new updates on Denzel Ward. Obviously, the Browns did not hold practice today, which means you really got no new nuggets. We got our weekly press release. We'll get to the depth chart here in segment 3 because there's a couple of things that maybe just a tad bit eye-opening. But again, that's always unofficial, but another, we'll get to that in segment 3. But, the plan has always been to get after Joe Burrow. And the Browns have done that with great success. They've done that whether, the defensive line room was, strongly built. They've done it when it was weakerly built last year. This team has always found a way to get up for their down Southern Ohio, Kentucky rivals, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, where can you expect from Joe Burrow in this game? I mean, I don't know how much, they can probably think he can do vertically. Those are the most toughest things to take from practice reps to put into game reps, as far as throwing the ball down the field. And you see that a lot in preseason. What do you see? A lot of short underneath stuff. And then, as the weeks go on is when you see the quarterback start amping it up, starting to throw some deeper routes, some deeper patterns to their guys. So you have that, thought here. But Burrow coming into this, with the calf, and whether or not it's 100%, nobody knows. And none of us are going to know, obviously. We know he's good enough to go, which, is the case here. So Joe going out there, going to be probably, I don't even know if limited is the right word. We don't truly know what Joe Burrow has. Joe Burrow has good mobility. Does he have 100% of that mobility? And the thing where this is going to be a little different than what the Browns have been able to do in the past is there should be pass rush coming up the gut, coming up the middle. This is the reason you went out and got Dalvin. This is the reason you went out and got Shelby Harris. This is the reason you took on, hopefully, a reclamation project that will turn out for you in Maurice Hurst. Heck, even Jordan Elliott. I know a lot of people are not fans of Jordan Elliott. Jordan Elliott even had 2 sacks for this franchise last year. So, but with this and all the edge guys that the Browns have, whether it is Myles, whether it is Za'Darius Smith, whether it is Ogbo Okoronkwo, whether or not Alex Wright can play this week, Isaiah McGuire, they can find a way and they can rotate guys to the inside. We know and we hear that Za'Darius Smith has been doing that a lot during camp. We know we have seen Myles Garrett line up on the inside during his career here with the Cincinnati Bengals. It waned off some in the past couple of years, but Jim Schwartz, I doubt, is going to be the guy who just ignores it and forgets about the fact that he has a guy who has the talent and the ability to be able to contribute and line up anywhere. Your guards usually aren't as athletic as your tackles. So if you can find a way to get Myles Garrett in a one-on-one matchup with a guard, you're going to find a way to do it because it should be even easier from there. So just the plan is that it should be attack. And this is always going to be the plan when you face Joe Burrow is, hopefully you can get pressure on him and he can't get rid of the ball. That's the plan. But it's going to be even more of an emphasis here in week 1 with the Browns with all their new talent, all these new toys for Jim Schwartz. You could, have an issue possibly being down your top corner against these great Bengal wide receivers. So you got to do everything you can to make sure that, Joe Burrow is basically on his can and on his can a lot. The day could get long. Joe Burrow takes 4 or 5 hits in the first half. You don't those first hits of the year, you just don't recover as quickly. So Browns defensive line versus Joe Burrow, attack. We're going to switch it up here. Obviously, a bunch of new Cleveland Browns making their Browns debut here on Sunday in the home opener. We're going to highlight some of those. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Appreciate you all for being along for the ride. Harry's. And the thing with Harry's, and look, this time of year, I have teenage daughters, so we've been going the Sweet 16 circuit as a lot of the friends, obviously, going through that. I got to get cleaned up a lot, man. So you're going out, you got to look good. My wife, my daughters in these beautiful dresses. I got to throw on the suit, man. You got to get ready to go. No matter why you shave, Harry's has you covered for the best shave of your life at a price you'll love. From their legendary high-quality razors to skin products like exfoliating face wash and hydrating lotion, Harry gives you a premium shave without the premium price tag. Get better quality and a better price than other razors when you get Harry's delivered right to your door. I went with the trial set. It was smooth. It was easy. Look, it is so much better than a disposable razor. You can get 3, 4 great shaves in, and guess what? Then you get another 10 great shaves in after, unlike the disposable razors. The starter set is a $13 value for just $3 at harrys.com/NFL. It includes a 5-blade German-engineered razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover. Scheduled delivery for refills as low as $2, half of what you pay for other blades. Creams, washes, and lotions that will keep your skin healthy and hydrated. Blades made in their own factory in Germany that stay sharp. Guys who've tried it say their 8th shave is as sharp as their first. Sleek, ergonomic, weighted handles that look great in your bathroom and give you precise control with each swipe. Harry's has the highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry, and they're still offering a no-risk trial. Don't like your shave? No worries. It's on them. Get your best shave ever this summer with Harry's razors and skincare products. Get a $13 starter set for just $3 at harrys.com/NFL. That's harrys.com/NFL for a $3 starter set. We continue on here, your latest Locked On Browns, your host, Jeff Lloyd. As always, I appreciate you all for making Locked On Browns your first listen. Join the everyday crowd by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, obviously, a lot of Cleveland Browns making their in-season, regular season debut here Sunday in the opener. I mean, I'm excited for all these. You know, I mean, who do you think could be the breakout guy? Who do you think could be the guy that endears himself to the Cleveland faithful in his first appearance, obviously in Cleveland Browns Stadium, the dog pound? And you look at the receivers, you know, Elijah Moore, so much anticipated for a player like this, kind of been the star of summer, no question about it. The Browns have been trying to use him in every way possible, as a runner, as a receiver, as a decoy, a guy that's giving you special sauce, obviously with, you know, jet motion, jet sweeps, a player. And the Browns are trying to use every aspect of his game. A little bit smaller, of course, yes. Runs a 4.35, solid route runner in college, performed against all the big-time talent and performed well. With the Jets, it looked like it was going to be a really, really nice career. Year 1, year 2, changes were made. Zach Wilson inefficient. And all of a sudden, a guy like Elijah Moore became somebody that was available for Cleveland to scoop up here in the offseason and get in a fold here. And the Browns know what they have. They know what the abilities are of a guy like Elijah Moore. And the Browns are excited to get to debut their new toy at wide receiver come Sunday against Cincinnati. Something with a player like Elijah Moore. And look, we will continue to tell you how great the Bengals wide receiver room is. But the Browns now have a chance to maybe even that playing field a little bit, bringing in a dynamic playmaker with the abilities and the diversity that Elijah Moore has. Cedric Tillman, it'll be interesting. With him, what amount of playing time he will see on Sunday. The rookie, obviously, New Jersey number. We'll get to that, of course, in segment 3. The thing where Cedric Tillman could get himself on the field is there was a lot of effort in blocking from Cedric Tillman over the summer. We know this has always been a Kevin Stefanski trait in his time here. If you are a wide receiver, that's great that you're a receiver, but you want the rock. You better block. And a guy like Cedric Tillman with his size, just an overall menace, 6'3", almost 220 pounds. The Browns have a bigger, thicker wide receiver group this year. And Cedric Tillman is certainly part of that. We'll see the opportunities that the rookie will get here in the home opener. Marquise Goodwin, and this has been a feel-good story over the summer, certainly for a different reason. You know, everybody had their worries, their concerns. Marquise Goodwin was diagnosed, of course, with the blood clotting issue, and basically ended up missing, the entirety, of training camp, missed the entirety of preseason games. Who knows how much he would have played, but gets that clean bill of health 2 weeks before, and now all of a sudden, here's a player that Browns fans, Browns got content creators like myself, weren't really sure where he stood with this team for this season. Now that he is good to go, this 4.2 speed, and you're going against this Bengals team that is going to have their top cornerback coming off an ACL injury. They're debuting 2 safeties, one of whom didn't play, wasn't a starter with the Los Angeles Rams, one of whom was a former first-round pick in Dax Hill. So, but you got to go attack this. This is what this team is supposed to be built on. This is what this team is supposed to be about. You paid Deshaun Watson almost $230 million. This is supposed to be a team that is now going to excel throwing the football. It shouldn't be remember 2019, Baker, Odell, Landry, it didn't work for 2 drives. Well, let's give the ball to Nick Chubb because we're losing 10-0. Okay, now it's 10-7. Next time the Browns get the ball, they start throwing the ball again, and it didn't work out. Guess what? Now the score is 17-7 or 20-7. What do? They feature Nick Chubb. That's not the way this team should be playing, performing in 2023. They're probably going to throw the ball most certainly more than they run it, and they should probably have a lot more success throwing the ball than we've grown accustomed to in years past following the Browns, watching the Browns. The talent is there. The talent is certainly legit. One of them is not necessarily making his debut. We have seen Jerome Ford a little bit, albeit 7 carries and some kick return, of course. Pierre Strong, and this is going to be interesting. Jerome obviously has the edge as far as knowing the playbook, knowing Deshaun Watson, the relationship as far as being a receiver with these guys. Granted, Pierre Strong comes in here, and again, same thing as Marquise Goodwin. Got here about the same amount of time, 2 weeks. Is Pierre a factor in kickoff return? Is Pierre a factor coming out of the backfield as a back? Is there time for him? Is there touches for him? Are there carries? Are there possible screen attempts? Pierre Strong, a bigger, kind of runs long-legged, long-strided, similar to how Randy Moss used to run back in the day. But he's got good juice. There's no question about it. Pierre Strong has got some real solid juice in those legs. So getting to see him, it's going to be really, really interesting. And, of course, Jordan Akins. You get to this defensive line, whether it's Za'Darius Smith, whether it's Dalvin Tomlinson, whether it's Ogbo Okoronkwo, whether it's Shelby Harris, Isaiah McGuire, Maurice Hurst, Siaki Ika. I mean, I am really, really excited. You guys know me. I'm a former wide receiver. I'm an offensive guy. But how can you not be excited, like geeked, to see what this defensive line is capable of? We've had to watch some rough defensive line play over the last few years. And it was always great watching Myles and be like, wow, if you could ever get, a couple of guys even on the same planet as Myles Garrett. Well, the Browns did. They got like 4 of them who could play, and they're not going to look like slouches on a field next to Myles Garrett. So to watch this defensive line come in, to watch what this defensive line is going to be capable of, man, I am so excited to watch this defensive line play. I cannot wait till we can get all 22 afterwards. Jim Schwartz, of course, this might be the biggest debut out of anybody who's going to be a part of this game on Sunday. The Browns, of course, needed a major upgraded defense coordinator. The defense last year, it was pathetic. And again, I'm trying to say that and be as nice as possible. This was a pathetic group who put out pathetic effort last year. There were teams that just owned them and took their will. That is not going to happen to a Jim Schwartz coached defense. It's just not the way it's going to work this year. And the fact that they put so much effort in, bringing in so much new talent, yes, it should take a little time to gel. But normally, in my opinion, a defensive line is going to come along quicker than your coverage should come along. It's simple, man. Beat the guy in front of you, go get the quarterback. And that's what Jim Schwartz is going to try to do here. You got to think, again, not newcomers, but JOK, perhaps Anthony Walker. These guys are going to be big this week as far as coverage. You got to think Joe Burrow, first action back in a long, long time, coming off the injury, going to be looking to work, some short middle routes, tight ends. Of course, the wide receivers that the Bengals have. Joe Mixon has always been, a factor in games against the Browns, whether it's as a receiver, whether it's as a runner. So there's a lot to focus in here as far as the newcomers. And then, of course, you get to Juan Thornhill, who had a great showing in Kansas City as he went back to his own stopping grounds. So did his new running mate, Rodney McLeod. Both of them had, interceptions in the final preseason game. So the Browns look locked and loaded here. Could there be a gaffe every now and then due to the newness and uncertainty? Yes. But this Browns defense and all of the new players, there's a big opportunity here to ingratiate themselves to the Cleveland Browns faithful Sunday in the opener. So it's be fun to watch on that aspect. We're going to go here to final segment 3 here. Browns released their first unofficial depth chart of the regular season. So we're going to get to that, some thoughts on that. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Stick around. Segment 3 up next. My wife, my girls, they are big concert goers. We have some great venues here in the area that we live, some outdoor venues. So they love to go to shows, but the problem is they don't always know when everybody's schedules are going to be on the same page that everybody can go. So they're last minute ticket buyers. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They were going to a show about a week or two ago. Weather looked ominous, so they wanted to make sure that they could switch their seats from lawn seats to under. Did it simple, quick, easy. So you get flash deals. You can get last minute tickets. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You get images of your potential seat view and the lowest price guarantee, even cancellation protection, job loss protection as well. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on ticket right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can buy the ticket in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns, closing it out here. It's been a great week. Can you believe this? We are going to have our first crossover of the year, crossover episode. Me and Jake Liskow from Locked On Bengals going to break it down. We'll have that out for you tomorrow. Certainly a lot of talk, Browns, Bengals. He's going to think why the Bengals are probably going to win. I'm going to tell you why I think the Browns are going to win. But I always love the crossover episodes and basically catching up, chopping it up with the Locked On brotherhood that we have going on here. But as always, we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. And the everyday crowd just continues to grow on YouTube. So join the everyday crowd by subscribing to the channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcast. Browns' first initial unofficial depth chart released today. One of the biggest takeaway I take from it is they don't have anybody listed as a backup guard right now. So which makes you think, even though Michael Dunn is a practice squad player, Michael Dunn is probably going to get called up from the practice squad. I don't know if they're ready to put Whippler out there. My belief would be no. Hudson doesn't have the experience. DeJuan Jones, obviously, no. I mean, he's been the right tackle the entire time. Couple of looks here and there in a couple of practices at left tackle, but we know where DeJuan Jones is going to be. So the fact that there is no backup guard at all on the roster, first thing that tells me is somebody, they don't believe anybody's ready in a pinch, in an emergency. Somebody might have to, but Michael Dunn, I would expect with 100% certainty, will be called up from the practice squad to be the reserve guard for the Browns in this game. Cedric Tillman, now the Browns will have no wide receiver who wears a number in the 80s. For the older guy in me, it does seem kind of weird. Cedric Tillman jersey number from 89 to 19. Look, if it ain't retired, and I'm sure Bernie Kosar probably gives his consent for the number to still be used, so Cedric Tillman will be wearing 19 in his Cleveland Browns debut Sunday at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Jerome Ford listed as running back 2. We'll see, where Jerome is at as the week goes on. Jerome Ford is listed also as the kick returner, Donovan Peoples-Jones as the punt returner. That's the way it was last year. If you remember, the Browns were hoping Jakeem Grant, they were going to get the opportunity to unveil Jakeem Grant, but of course, Jakeem Grant, the significant injury, the patella in the final preseason game against Kansas City Chiefs. So a toy that the Browns really, really wanted. Is a toy the Browns got to use for one kickoff return in a preseason game. So really, really tough luck, obviously, for Jakeem Grant. I know everybody is up in arms, but as Jordan Elliott is listed as the Browns' starting defensive tackle, I get it. I know we've been having these same conversations now for almost 4 years. But my question would be is, where is he listed? Does he start? And then when the game is over, let's go to snap count and let's see who takes the majority of the snaps at the defensive tackle position. We know Dalvin Tomlinson is going to take a boatload, of course. Jordan Elliott could come off the field for the likes of Shelby Harris, could come off the field for the likes of Siaki Ika, certainly going to come off the field in pass rushes situations for Maurice Hurst Jr., as the Browns are going to continue to try to ride the wave here with Maurice Hurst Jr. Had a strong summer for them, and they're seeing if that can translate with all the attention that's going to be put on the defensive ends, the edge rushers. Maurice Hurst should be a guy that should find a way to eat and some pass rush opportunities up the middle. So things that we're all looking forward to. Denzel Ward listed as injured on the depth chart. So, Denzel Ward, we'll wait to hear more on Wednesday as the Browns return back to practice. So we'll get more information on that on Wednesday. Roddy Hickman, he is not listed as a third string safety for right now, so we'll see how much playing time possibly dictates for him. The Anthony Bell is listed as your backup strong safety. McLeod listed as your backup free safety. Cameron Mitchell is listed as a backup cornerback. Of course, the Browns list this as, two outside cornerbacks. Their depth chart is based on, base defense. So again, if Denzel does not go, we're not exactly sure what the game plan is going to be as far as who plays nickel, who plays outside. Does Greg Newsome play no nickel if Denzel doesn't go? Does Greg Newsome play strictly on the outside? Does somebody else play nickel? When you go to a third corner, does Greg Newsome kick down? There's a lot of things that we'll be watching for to wait to see Jim Schwartz handle this in his debut Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, look, these depth charts are not supposed to give away much information. They're basically just something that, can be had. Obviously, they have to release these types of things to media. So that is, of course, where the Browns are with all of that. Your starting linebackers, of course, Sione Takitaki, Anthony Walker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. How much the linebackers play? Do the Browns go package heavy, nickel and dime? I think we're going to see that. Obviously, we're going to see a rotation of these defensive linemen. Really, really looking forward to, Jim Schwartz's debut and all the potential that he has with all the new talent on this Cleveland Browns defense. I am Jeff Lloyd. It is now year 7 covering the Cleveland Browns for you here with Locked On Browns. I appreciate you guys who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Make sure you guys all subscribe to the YouTube page. Well over 6,600 now. Big Pine Party over there. Thanks for all the everyday listeners. So make sure you subscribe there and join the everyday party. Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go, Browns.